Ever lent money to a friend or family member and had it go sour? Well, today we're diving into a courtroom story that serves as a masterclass in why you should always get things in writing, but also shows how a smart judge can see right through flimsy excuses. This isn't just a legal case. It's a drama involving a breakup, a broken down car, and a very unhappy father-in-law to be. Our story starts with a guy named Mr. Pierce. His daughter was dating a young man, let's call him Mr. Clay. Back in June of 2013, everything seemed fine. The young couple was happy and dad was supportive. Then disaster struck not for the relationship, but for Mr. Clay's car. It broke down, and as we all know, car repairs can be a nightmare, especially when you're short on cash. Being a good guy and a potential future father-in-law, Mr. Pierce stepped up to the plate. He didn't just offer a few bucks. He covered the entire repair bill, which came out to a little over $2,800. A pretty generous move, right? At first, everyone was on the same page. Mr. Clay was grateful and started paying his girlfriend's dad back right away. The arrangement was simple. He'd make regular payments until the debt was cleared. It was all very civil and responsible. For the first few months, things went smoothly. Mr. Clay was making his payments, chipping away at the loan. It looked like a classic case of family helping family. A loan made in good faith and being repaid in good faith. But then, just 3 months later, in September, the whole situation took a sharp turn. The romance fizzled out. Mr. Pierce's daughter broke up with Mr. Clay, and what happened the moment the relationship ended? You guessed it. The repayments stopped, just like that. Mr. Clay, who had been diligently paying back the loan, suddenly decided he didn't owe another cent for Mr. Pierce. This was a double blow. His daughter was dealing with a breakup, and now he was out over $2,000. After waiting and presumably getting nowhere, Mr. Pierce decided he had no other choice. He took Mr. Clay to court to get his money back. Now this is where it gets really interesting. This wasn't a high-stakes corporate lawsuit. It was a simple small claims case, the kind of stuff you see on daytime TV. But the arguments presented are incredibly telling about human nature. When they got in front of the judge, the facts were laid out pretty clearly. A car was broken. Money was paid for repairs. Some of that money was paid back. The rest was not. The judge, a no-nonsense woman, wanted to get straight to the point. She focused on the payments that were made before the breakup. Mr. Clay took the stand and testified that yes, he had made payments. He claimed he'd made 3 monthly payments of $300 each. However, he admitted that Mr. Pierce only had signed written proof for 2 of those payments, totaling $600. This detail becomes crucial later on. The judge then zeroed in on the $1,000,000 question, or in this case, the $2,200 question. Mr. Clay, why did you stop paying the exact moment you and the plaintiff's daughter broke up? This is where Mr. Clay's defense strategy came out, and frankly, it was a bold one. He tried to argue that there was never a real, legally binding loan in the first place. He claimed he only ever felt a moral obligation to pay Mr. Pierce back. And why this moral obligation? Because he was dating his daughter and, in his words, envisioned a future with her. He was trying to paint a picture of himself as a dutiful boyfriend trying to impress his girlfriend's dad, not as someone who had entered into a formal financial agreement. Essentially, his argument was, the duty I felt was tied to the relationship. The relationship is over, so the duty is over. It's a creative argument, I'll give him that. He even tried to muddy the waters a bit by suggesting the whole repair was Mr. Pierce's idea anyway, done at a mechanic Mr. Pierce chose, as if that somehow absolved him of the responsibility to pay for his own car being fixed. But the judge was not having any of it. She immediately shut down the irrelevant details about who picked the mechanic. That didn't matter. What mattered was the nature of the agreement, and she used Mr. Clay's own words to dismantle his moral obligation defense. She looked at him and laid out the logic so clearly it was impossible to argue with. She said essentially, let's talk about this moral obligation of yours. If you were just paying him back out of the goodness of your heart as a gesture, the payments would probably have been random. Maybe $100 here, $50 there, whenever you had extra cash. It would have been sporadic, inconsistent. Then she delivered the finishing blow. But that's not what you did, she continued. You testified yourself that you made regular monthly installments of $300. Mr. Pierce has signed receipts for these payments. This isn't a casual gesture. This is a payment plan. You don't make structured, documented payments on a moral obligation. You make them on a debt boom. The judge had turned his own testimony against him. The fact that he was making consistent, agreed-upon payments proved that both parties understood this was a real loan with a real repayment schedule. The breakup was completely irrelevant to the financial contract they had established through their actions. The regular payments were the evidence. They demonstrated a meeting of the minds, a clear understanding that this was a loan that needed to be repaid in full, regardless of his relationship status. She sternly reminded Mr. Clay that his actions spoke louder than his new moral obligation theory. A structured repayment schedule is the hallmark of a recognized legal debt. His attempt to frame it as a romantic gesture fell completely flat because his own behavior contradicted it. He wasn't just giving his girlfriend's dad some gift money. He was paying off a loan. With that, the case was pretty much over. The judge had established that a debt existed. She acknowledged the evidence that Mr. Clay had already paid back $600. So she did the simple math. 2,800 minus 600 leaves a balance of 2,200. The judge ruled decisively in favor of Mr. Pierce, awarding him a judgment for the remaining $2,200. Mr. Clay's attempt to use his breakup as a get-out-of-debt-free card failed spectacularly. So what's the big takeaway here? First, if you loan money, even to someone you trust, get a simple agreement in writing. It doesn't have to be a complicated legal document, just something that outlines the amount, the purpose, and the repayment plan. It can save a world of headache. But more importantly, this case shows that the law and common sense often go hand in hand. Your actions create your reality. Mr. Clay acted like he had a loan, so the court treated it as a loan. He couldn't just change the rules after the fact to suit his new circumstances. He learned the hard way that a debt is a debt, and a breakup doesn't make it disappear. It's a satisfying conclusion for anyone who believes in personal responsibility. Mr. Pierce was a kind person who helped someone out, and the court ensured his generosity wasn't taken for granted. And for Mr. Clay, well, he got a costly lesson in both finance and integrity. What do you think? Was the judge right to focus on the payment plan, or did Clay have a point about the moral obligation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. It's a fascinating look at how personal relationships and financial agreements can get tangled up. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from the world of law and order. See you next time.